example and studying.
Okay. I like that. Is there anything that you remember vividly that maybe that was a takeaway from your dad and your mom that was like, yeah, this is what defined me to get to the next step going into my teenage years?
Anything that defined me? Not so much with my dad. I'll say this is that because of the situation that happened with my father, I didn't really get to know him as the successful person he is. But one of the things that always sticks out, and it's so good to have a father, is that so the people that were older than me, my uncles and my cousins and some of my my family friends, they always spoke very highly of my father. They always spoke in terms of how brilliant he was, how intelligent he was. And so just hearing that, knowing that that's where I came from. Although, and the interesting, the fascinating part about it is that that's not the man that I got to know, just because like I was so young. But hearing people talk about my father in such acclaim, with such respect, with such reverence, right? In terms of, again, the word brilliant came up over and over and over when describing him. It really, again, it set the floor for me. Like I said, listen, I know I'm not maybe the smartest, but it's running through me somewhere, So that's what I'd say is that. And again, that doesn't maybe answer your question directly because my situation with him wasn't. I can't point to a specific situation there, but I can point to a lot of folks when that's Bill's son, that's Bill's son, that's Bill's son. I think in terms of my in terms of my mom, what I'd say, and I'm sure she may not want me to share some of these crazy stories, but just she was no nonsense, right? Like she was no nonsense, and she set a standard and an expectation for who we are. She will always say, because we'd be like, yo, such and such could do that, and she was like, I'm not such and such mom. Such and such ain't my son. And so I think that's so incredibly important when raising a child. Or even like I have a team now that reports into me, and I always tell them like, yo, remember who you represent, regardless of how you feel about it. When you go out into the public, or when you're talking to your clients, or whatever the case may be, you represent me, you represent this team, you represent this organization. And my mom was big in terms of
representation.
Of that. Yeah. Obviously, she was a teacher, so she was someone within the community. She was a woman of God, a stark woman of God. And so, there was an expectation from my brother and I, and we didn't always hit it, trust me, because we were kids, but she did a great job of explaining it to us, to the point where after a while we saw it as a privilege, as an honor, as opposed to a hindrance.
I got you. Very nice. So, Will, as a teenager, when life starts to pull you in different directions, how do you begin to prepare yourself for adulthood? Was there a person in your life that made you realize how important preparation was? And if so, what did that look like?